Welcome to Talking Straight. I'm Suresh Kochatal. While the issue of the BBC documentary and its ban on social media by the Indian government is being debated both in media and the courts, many Indian movies and documentaries have not seen the light of the day. While the BJP government is in power for the last 8 years, but despite their best efforts, many institutions and organizations like the Censor Board still remain infested with the communist rats. A year ago, Ali Akbar, now known by his Hindu name Ramasimhan, produced and directed a movie that captured the horrors of the 1921 Mappala massacre of Kerala. Ramasimhan was excited into producing this Malayalam movie, 1921, Pura Mudal Puravare, which in English means 1921, a river to the river. A Malayalam movie that captures the massacre of the 1921 so-called Khilafat movement. He resolved to take up this initiative when the CPM-led LDF government in Kerala declared projects to glorify the notorious Muslim writer Variyankunnathu Kunju Haji as a freedom fighter and portrayed the anti-Hindu Khilafat movement as a farmers' agitation which turned into a freedom struggle against the British. Kunju Muhammad Haji led the inhuman massacre of thousands of Hindus, including women and children, conversions of thousands of Hindus into Islam, sexual abuse of thousands of women, and desecration and demolition of hundreds of Hindu temples in Kerala. The Khilafat movement in Kerala was the worst Hindu genocide in the pre-independence India that had witnessed it. To add to it, a prominent pro-jihadi Malayalam film actor announced that he was going to make a film picturing Haji as a freedom fighter. It invited stiff opposition from the pro-Hindu and nationalist forces. However, not much have been heard about that actor or the film thereafter. It was against this drop that Ramasimhan came out with this resolution to make a film picturizing the factual story of the 1921 massacre. But Ramasimhan's dream project still remains a mere dream, thanks to the unreasonable and rude hurdles and hassles created by the Censor Board, both in Kerala and in Mumbai. Congress-led UDF government in Kerala, which is the opposition party there, was all in support of the ruling LDF initiatives in this regard due to the Muslim vote bank politics prevailing in the state. Ramasimhan took the initial steps of the pet project in a very unique style. He deviated from the traditional line of roping in a single producer with his money for the film. On the other hand, he crowdfunded the entire movie by inviting investments from the general public. People with hearts filled for Hindutva, nationalism and anti-jihadism put their hard-earned money into Ramasimhan's movie. And he completed the production of the historic project in a short period of time. But the Film Censor Board in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala would not give him the certificate and the nod to screen the movie. 2 out of the 4-member team of the Censor Board which examined the movie gave the green signal. That required the casting vote of the regional officer of the Central Board of Film Certification, Kerala. That officer went by the name Srimati Parvati, who is actually the granddaughter of the late senior CPM leader and former Kerala Assembly Speaker, Varkala Radhakrishnan, and had already completed her 2 years deputation a couple of years back. Despite this, she still continues to enjoy the extension of another 2 years despite strong opposition from the film industry in Kerala. She decided to vote against giving the movie the censor certificate. The revision committee of the Central Board of Film Certification imposed several cuts thereafter in the movie over 2 meetings. According to the director Ramasimhan, if the cuts were to be accepted by him to release the movie, it would whitewash the brutality against Hindus and essentially the project, the Malabar genocide of Hindus, as an uprising, something that the leftists wanted to parrot along all the way. Ramasimhan says that the local officer in the Kerala Censor Board has been against his movie from the very beginning. It was only after he said that he would approach the High Court of Kerala did she agree for the screening of the movie for the registration of the certificate. The local Censor Board in Thiruvananthapuram seemed to have influenced the decision of the Central Board in Mumbai, as there was considerable pressure from Islamic outfits to stop the release of this movie. Pertinently to note, after the Kerala Censor Board had denied the certification of the movie earlier last year, they referred to the movie to the CBFC for a revising committee review. That's what I talked about earlier. When the first revision committee meeting was held in Mumbai, very minor cuts were suggested, something that did not alter the character of the movie. Since the movie had scenes of violence, the Central Board of Film Certification decided to give an A certificate, that's an adult certificate, and the director was ready to accept that. However, to everyone's surprise, a second meeting of the revision committee was called. Who called it? Nobody knows. In this meeting, several cuts were imposed by the CBFC that barred the director from showing scenes depicting the atrocities against the Hindus by the Mapla Muslims. One of the first scenes that the CBFC censored in the movie was a scene of the Tuvur well incident that was depicted in the movie. For those who are not aware about this dark chapter of history, let me give you a synopsis of what really happened. On the 25th of September 1921, on the barren hillside between Tuvur and Karvekandi in North Kerala, in the Chembasheri, Imbichi Kotingal, one of the Khilafat leaders held a rally with over 4,000 followers. During this meeting, more than 40 Hindus were caught hold and taken to him with their hands tied behind their backs. 38 of these Hindus were murdered on the spot. 3 of the 38 were shot and the rest were beheaded and thrown into the Tuvur well. It is not a made-up incident, but one that is recorded in the official documents of that era. Beside the Tuvur well incident, there were several other scenes that were ordered to be cut from the movie. There was one dialogue which hinted at the Al-Dawla or the Islamic State that was established in Malabar by Kunyi Ahmad Haji. According to several records, this was evidently an independent area that the Islamists had established, and they imposed jiazya on the Hindus. The board questioned Ramasinham about his knowledge of Sharia and Islam and then proceeded to cut the dialogue altogether. Historians have recorded that the 1921 genocide of Hindus was a carnage and that was rampant. There was forcible conversion of Hindus, the deliberate slaughter of cows, and was rampant just to insult the faith of the Hindus. And several thousands were beheaded and temples razed to the ground, as I mentioned earlier. In the movie, Ramasinham had scenes that forcible conversion of Hindus and temples being razed by the Islamists were depicted, and these scenes were also disallowed by the censor board. In another scene, without really showing a cow slaughter, he suggested that cows were being slaughtered by the Islamists, and that too was ordered to be cut out by the censor board. The censor board is believed to have told Ali Akbar, or Ramasinham as we call right now, to ensure that the chants of Allahu Akbar and Narae Takbir were not shown frequently in the movie. What would actually happen if all these cuts in the movie were imposed, that as asked by the censor board? It would strip down the movie down to the essence and to show that the genocide of the Hindu by the Mapla Muslims in 1921 actually did not happen. That was what the censor board wanted, but Ramasinham would have nothing of it. The censor board, which ironically is headed by Prasoon Joshi, who is considered a right-wing sympathizer. I wouldn't call him that case, but he is. In this case, Prasoon is said to be under the influence of the Kerala censor board officer, who is a communist, as I mentioned earlier, wanting to peddle the communist narrative that the 1921 genocide against Hindus was a peasant uprising against the landlords of that area. In the movie, the family of the Hindu kings of that area are referred to as lords, but the censor board insisted that it be changed and referred to them as landlords. Why? Because that would appease the Muslims. The Mapla massacre was described by the likes of Annie Besant and Babasaheb Ambedkar in their published books. Annie Besant, for example, described the events in her book, and to quote her, in the book Future of the Indian Politics, they murdered, plundered abundantly, and killed and drove away at all Hindus who would not apologize. Somewhere about a lakh of people were driven from their homes with nothing but the clothes that they had on, stripped of everything. Malabar has taught us what Islamic rule still means, and we do not want to see another specimen of the Khilafat rule in India. Unquote. On the other hand, Babasaheb Ambedkar, in his book Pakistan or the Partition of India, wrote, the blood-curdling atrocities committed by the Maplas in Malabar against the Hindus were indescribable. And this is what Babasaheb Ambedkar had said. All over southern India, a wave of horrified feeling had spread among the Hindus of every shade of opinion, which was intensified when certain Khilafat leaders passed resolutions of congratulations to the Maplas on their brave fight that they were conducting for the sake of religion. Unquote. Even after 100 years of that massacre, the wounds of the genocide still remain afresh in the Hindu conscience. Worse was the fact that Jawaharlal Nehru and the Congress party provided freedom fighter status to these killers and even provided them with pensions under the freedom fighter scheme. It was only after the Modi government came in that these titles and benefits were scrapped. Which brings me to the question, why is it that the right-wing filmmaker like Ramasin is not able to get his film certified by the censor board in a BJP-ruled country? Especially when the leftists and Islamists are able to get their films passed in a jiffy. Special screenings of the two-part BBC twisted, one-sided documentary on the Gujarat riots were held in leftist academic strongholds of JNU, University of Hyderabad, Aligarh Muslim University and many other places. But a movie that reflects the true happenings in pre-independence India does not even get a censor certificate. If this is not hypocrisy and double standard, then what is it? Ramasinham has now decided to approach the High Court of Kerala against the cuts imposed by the censor board. Many have suggested to him that he should scrap his plans for a theatrical release and instead go for an OTT option. Remember the dialogue of Pallavi Joshi from the movie Kashmir Files. Sarkar unki hai to kya hua, but system to hamara hoga. This is what is happening in an India ruled by the Bharatiya Janata Party. The BJP needs to change this narrative. It has to do it now. Thank you for watching.
Please subscribe to Nationalist Hub English channel for more interesting videos, and don't forget to like and share this video. Nationalist Hub, it's a news revolution.